John, you mentioned a bit of stuff with writing in your Two Truths and a Lie. Um, what have you done with writing before?
Well, I guess it turned into sort of a hobby, but because I've ended up making my living doing IT stuff. Um, so I guess you, you know, I, the writer's workshop was a pretty big thing when I was, so I guess I can't say I got as far as in the writer's workshop, but I certainly um, was influenced by it and took classes from the people in the writers workshop and was interested in that as a career and I did a lot of journalism when I was in high school, and I've written articles for the Press Citizen a number of times, and uh, that's about as far as I've really gone with it.
That is so cool. Yeah, you mentioned the Iowa Writers Workshop. What genres did you write?
Well, I wrote a lot of a lot of journalism, a lot of I was uh, editor on the paper and wrote mostly I was news and features, but uh, and some sports. Uh, and I wrote a lot of short fiction when I was contemplating that as a profession, or you know, uh, at least more of a livelihood than it ever became.
That's so cool. You said you wrote a lot of news stories and features. Is there a favorite story of yours that you wrote?
But it tends to be the last one a little bit, I think. I mean, I guess it's often such a relief to get them into some kind of shape that I think it's kind of like, you're sending them off into the world. It feels like you have a lot of pride in what you just accomplished. So I mean, I wrote a piece since I've been in the senior center about leaving middle age and what it was like to not feel like you were middle aged anymore. Uh, and uh, I mean, it sounds like a bit of a downer, but I think I managed to get some humor into it.
Hmm. That sounds so interesting. What are your tips? I don't know. Do you have any tips about not feeling middle-aged?
Well, I think that I I think that there is some ways that you take pressure off yourself, and but and you if not you don't try not to miss any opportunity. You try to see opportunities as something that you can't count on ever having again. Certain opportunities. I mean, again, it sounds a little more downbeat than it was, but I guess it's you know you have a reason to not uh, to not think about things in any kind of a putting off, or any kind of a judgmental way. I guess to try things if you feel that they are at all within your reach.
That sounds like a really cool article, and I am sure that it wasn't downbeat by any means. I'm sure it had little bits of humor in it for sure. It sounds fun. I guess when it comes to looking for those opportunities, like you mentioned, has COVID-19 sort of affected you and you're sort of, looking for opportunities to try new things or take new things up?
It definitely has in terms of travel is a pretty big thing in my life, as was volunteering, and I realized that pretty quickly that a lot of my volunteering, the clients were of a certain age, and me being of a certain age, it kind of shut the door on those volunteering things pretty quickly. And plus, the gathering is a big, um, that some of them were actually designed to bring older people out of their shells or out of their comfort zone or into a more social atmosphere, and that was pretty much curtailed in some degree. But I mean, I it's hard to I can't put a positive spin on some of these things, unfortunately.
Mhm. Well, I guess I'll ask about volunteering. Where do you volunteer and what do you do?
Well, I was volunteering at the library and uh, at the senior center, and I was doing tech help at the library and at the senior center, and I was also doing some reading to blind people, which sounds like it could go on, but it's unfortunately it involved sitting face to face with someone, and it hasn't really been. We haven't been able to pick it up. That how to do it. We were sitting in a broadcasting booth, broadcasting to the blind, but there was another person there, so it seems like it couldn't be done very easily in the COVID time.
Mhm. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, COVID has really changed just everything. I don't know, you mentioned traveling in addition to volunteering as something that has been affected by COVID. Um, I don't know. I don't know whether to ask about traveling because I know that has also been negatively affected by COVID. So, has there been anything that you have found, I don't know, during COVID that have made things fun or just easier for you to, I don't know, make your way through the day that give you a bit of joy and
Well,
hope,
this may
maybe?
not sound very major, but we've had a ping pong table in the basement that we haven't used for 3 or 4 years, I would say, and we probably played at least 100 games of ping pong or 100 matches since COVID. So that's a pretty small thing. I mean, my exercise mode was pretty much a day of rest after a day of hard exercise, or maybe some light calisthenics, and then but so we've been walking every day until this severe cold hit, you know. So that was a I mean that was a plus, just to do something every day like that. Uh, a lot of good, uh, bird casual bird watching. I mean, we are lucky to be on a trail, and we see deer and hawks and uh, a lot of birds routinely. So on our walks.
Yes. Oh, that is, those are so many cool hobbies. I love the idea of, I don't know, ping pong, having some good ping pong matches here and there. Have there been like ping pong tournaments at the senior center?
I know there's the capability of ping pong, but I haven't seen that many people playing. There's an avid
Mm.
pool group that plays and the ping pong table is actually a pool table with a cover on it for ping pong, like. So there is a conflict there, but they do have ping pong set up at the senior center.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know, did you play tennis or ping pong when you were younger or something to, I don't know, make you
I
interested in ping
I
pong?
I did play a lot of tennis and have. I mean, I'm definitely like everyone tapered off, but I have played. Uh, played a little bit this summer, even.
Uh-huh. That is so cool. Have you been watching the Australian Open by chance
I
lately?
have been. I have been to be. Yeah, I enjoy the majors a lot in tennis. Uh, it's it's next to tennis and basketball are my two favorite sports to watch.
That is awesome. Do you have a favorite player on tour?
I mean, all of the top players. Basically, I mean, where there's not a real villain. I sometimes, you know, um, I've seen Roger Federer play in person and Nadal, and so and I saw Djokovic practicing, so I have some familiarity with the top players, and I like them all.
That is so awesome. Where did you watch Federer and Nadal play?
Uh, Federer in New York and Nadal in Paris.
That is awesome. Have you been able to watch all of the majors in person?
Uh, I've watched three of the four in person, and I've been to the grounds of the Australian in Melbourne, but it wasn't during the tournament. In fact, it's changed. It's changed a lot. There was only one covered court there when I was there,
Hmm.
and now I think they've got at least three covered courts.
Yeah, that is that is so cool. I know you mentioned traveling, and I think that maybe that plays a role in that. I don't know which tournament has been your favorite?
Well, I they all have something going for them. Obviously, I mean, I think the New New York. I hadn't been to New York except to be through it at the airports a couple times when I was going to other places. So that was a lot of fun. Um, it was I think it was the fourth anniversary of 9/11 when I was there. So that was, I mean, not fun, but moving in the sense that it felt like you were participating in the resurgence of the place. And it was still a hole in the ground when I went there. The
Mhm.
9/11 site was still just a hole in the ground.
Where else have you gone? I am seriously so intrigued just with your traveling, in addition to the tennis tournaments you've gone to.
Well, I've been lucky in that I've gotten to go to a lot of places. I've gone to Russia and Turkey and Cambodia, uh, Hawaii. So I mean, not that Hawaii isn't a state, but it's a fun place to go,
For
especially this
sure.
time of year. I mean, any place that doesn't have 2 feet of snow looks pretty nice.
I agree. I agree for sure. I don't know. I definitely say Hawaii just sounds perfect, especially with the weather we have been having this last week or so.
But I would say I the only place I'd been when I was your age, I would say was outside the country would be Canada and maybe Tijuana, although I was drugged there as a kid and I don't remember it. I don't want to say my parents were abusive, but no, I was just that little. I was just like 3, you know. So I hadn't been outside the country until I was 20, 21, 22, whatever. Uh,
Was there something that, I don't know, got you interested in traveling and visiting new places?
well, I think it was certainly curiosity and reading and, history, movies, and I think, to some extent, religion. You hear about the lives of the saints or something like that, and you think that they traveled here and there, and um, I mean, there was just a thing on today about the restoration of Notre Dame. I remember when I saw the Notre Dame. I mean, that was a pretty stunning thing to think about, having been someplace that Napoleon and Joan of Arc and people like that have experienced.
I guess traveling wise, is there any place that, I don't know, like right after, if the pandemic were to end tomorrow, um, where would you go if you could travel anywhere?
I mean, I think that I'm a little bit. I know there are places you won't want to go or won't there, but there won't be admitted. I mean, I think that you appreciate some places. I mean, I think I've enjoyed Mediterranean type, or not Mediterranean, but Caribbean type vacations a lot. And that seems to be kind of the counter balance to what's been going on. But I mean, I think there. I think that there are places that are going to be somewhat out of reach, and it's tempting to say, I want to go to the South Pole because it'd be the chance, or I mean, that's probably not a good example, but maybe the Great Wall of China or something like that, because it would be a big ask to get there at this point, you know. But I think that, you know, the the Caribbean thing would be nice.
That sounds, yeah, yeah, that sounds like a great choice. Yeah, perfect choice, especially if, I don't know, I guess just going back to the weather, just anywhere but Iowa at this point is what I'm in the mood for. But are there any lessons that you have taken away from traveling, or any things that you've learned in your experience as well, traveling around the globe?
Well, I think that you it is the thing that you can't help learn a lot from travel. I think that's some people, it seems like, are determined not to learn anything. They want to travel in a bubble. And I think you have, as you get older, you realize that is the comfort is there, or you're trying to you're trying to preserve yourself or something. But I think if the more you can be with the native people, the better off you are in some ways. Uh, and the more you can get a glimpse of their life, the better you are, the more you get out of the travel.
I love what you've said about traveling, John. I agree in that. I don't know, the way in which you travel is just as, if not more important than where you travel. Yeah, traveling is very, very cool. I am with you there.
I would like to hear just an introduction of yourself, or what where you are in school and so forth, and where you where you graduated, or are you a high school student or a college student? You know,
Uh,
it,
I'm a, yeah, I'm a junior at West High right now,
okay,
so not
okay,
quite graduated.
uh-huh. Well, that's an interesting thing. I went to West High also,
Oh, okay.
but I went there the first 2 years it was opened. So some people are amazed at that, but um, that. So how has COVID changed things for you and your family in the last 10 months? That's right off the list.
Hmm. COVID-19 has definitely changed a lot of things we can do together as a family. I guess we still play board games at our house. Scrabble is a favorite of ours. But we're a tennis playing family. Both my mom and my dad, my two sisters and I all play tennis. So I don't know, during the winter especially, usually every Friday and Saturday we would have a family doubles session over at HTRC. And yeah, so we would play a lot of tennis together. And then I think around this time, or I guess throughout the year, we also like going to museums and whatnot. We go to, it's been a bit, but I think earlier in last school year, so I guess in November 2019, we went to the Chicago Art Institute, and that was very fun. Um, but yeah, I'd say a lot of our gallivanting adventures, I don't know, that's what my mom likes to call it, um, are definitely not as feasible as they were 10 months ago, or I guess, yeah, almost a year ago. It's been a while.
So do you do travel based on tennis?
Not too much. We have, in terms of tournaments, we've just gone to maybe some like throughout Iowa, a few in Illinois and Minnesota. Maybe I feel like there's been one in Nebraska. If we do, I guess it's sort of tennis related, but we've been able to go to, lucky enough to go to Wimbledon and the French Open. I think, well, 5 years ago for the French Open, and then I think 3 years ago for Wimbledon. So I guess that's traveling in a tennis sense, but different sort of kind of sense.
Well, yes, there's in those cities, there's an awful lot to do. You know, you could go there uh, for almost anything. Uh, yeah. um, so how has it changed has it changed your point of view about the city of Iowa City? I mean, have you lived a lot of other places besides Iowa City?
I have not. I born and raised in Iowa City. Yeah, so I've been here my whole life, but I'd definitely say that the pandemic has um made me more grateful for the I don't know, all the opportunities we have in Iowa City. And it's really great to see everything that the city has done to adapt to the pandemic. I really like how you can get your library books in the mail. I don't know why that comes to mind first, but I don't know. So I can still get my books from the library, and sometimes, I don't know, I wouldn't say right now is the safest of times to take a walk downtown on the Ped Mall, but I don't know. In terms of how I view Iowa City as a whole, when it comes to, I guess, legislation, made me more proud to be an Iowa City resident in terms of what measures we've been taking to address the pandemic, especially with the mask mandate, for instance. And I know the Iowa City Community School District has also been working to counter, just sort of the in-person schooling stuff. So I don't know. I think we're a pretty cool city, and you know, we're getting through the pandemic together, hopefully sooner than later. But yeah.
If Iowa City is your home and has been for your whole life, is there any place you would say is your second home? Any place where you've traveled or spent a lot of time?
Um, for the first trimester of my freshman year, I actually spent that in Nairobi, Kenya. Um, my aunt and uncle, well, my aunt, no, I think she moved back. They both work for the UN, and I guess they know that I enjoy going new places and, I guess trying to get a real appreciation for the place that I'm visiting. And so they invited me to spend some of my time there in Nairobi. And it's interesting in that, like, despite all the differences there are, between Iowa City and there, I don't, I'm struggling to find the words to exactly describe how there are still a lot of similarities that, when you go to a place, no matter how different it is, there are still little things here and there that remind you of home. But I'd say I would call that my second home just because of all the time I spent there and how I would like to go back there, just because I have quite a few friends there that I guess it has been almost 3 years, but we still keep in touch. But it can be tough with the however, like 3,000 miles between us. I would love to go back there.
That sounds amazing. Uh, do, do you have a plan for what you say the curtain was dropped and this COVID was over? Do you have a thing you want to do? A few things or you want to do right away?
Well, I guess when it comes to traveling, um okay. I take French and Chinese for languages. in school. And these last 2 years, I've been researching Guinea in Western Africa. And I know it isn't necessarily the most touristy sort of place. Everything that I've been learning about it, um, and just various aspects of its culture, I would love to go there and just be there and be able to, I guess, experience it in a different way than what I've been researching. But I guess even if COVID-19 uh, is over, I might have seen somewhere that there's might be another Ebola outbreak going on there. So that makes me hesitant. But I think Guinea is coming to mind as maybe somewhere that, I don't know, maybe I would love to have the opportunity to visit sometime in my life.
That's sort of off a lot of people's map, I think. Um, so that's kind of amazing. Uh, if it was anything in your life previous to COVID that prepared you? I mean, it sounds like you have a strong family unit, but anything else that's been really helpful? Liking to read can't hurt.
For sure. Yeah. I guess I'm not sure if it's quite prepared me in the way that my relationships with my family and friends have. Well, I guess when it comes to family and friends, if anything, COVID-19 has strengthened those bonds, just in terms of it's, I don't know, it's easier for me to uh, choose who I spend time with just because um, it's not like I'm seeing a lot of people every day. And I'm really only communicating with the people that I want to communicate, which I guess has its perks, but I also sort of miss, you know, bumping into people and saying hello, even if we haven't spoken for a while. Um, Something that I think is sort of lucky looking back is that the Chinese class that I'm taking through the university is an online class. So I had been using Zoom since the start of my sophomore year. And yeah, so once we transitioned to full online Zoom school in the spring of 2020, I guess that had me prepared.
How has this affected your search for colleges or your where you want to pursue education after high school?
Um, it's definitely made it tough in terms of being able to visit campuses. My mom had suggested that maybe summer 2021 uh I could as in we as a family, I mean, could take a look at some of the campuses. I know I'm looking mainly East Coast, I guess, but I have a few I don't know. There's this one school in France that I'm really interested in. And I know for sure COVID has affected that. And I don't even know. I really want to go to that school, but I don't even know if it's possible to visit it before I apply um, later this year. But we'll see. It's definitely made the college search process difficult. And I've, been playing around with the idea of maybe waiting a year in between senior year and starting college, just depending on the COVID-19 situation. But college search, definitely more difficult than before.
You have a college that your parents have promoted or like are alumni of or anything like that?
Um, Both my parents, well, my dad went to Iowa State for a bit. He thought he was going to go into engineering But then he realized that engineering really wasn't for him. So he went to the university, I think the nursing program, and that's where he met my mom. So both of my parents are University of Iowa alumni, and my dad is, I'd say, a proponent of, you know, you can go wherever you would like to as long as you work hard. And I guess my mother has been sending hints that she would like me to stay in Iowa, I guess. For both of them, though, the financial aspect of things is definitely something that we butt heads on a bit, just because I don't know, I am probably being naive and thinking that, oh, money is just money, but I don't know, just sort of prioritizing the experience and learning new things over, I don't know, money. I don't know. I guess, what do you think with money, experience? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's, I mean, one thing that it's obvious is that it's much more costly to go to school than it ever was. I mean, I could basically, I, you couldn't quite pay for your college by part-time jobs, but just about. I mean, I was when so it's so much different. And I didn't have a good college plan. I just kind of did what my older siblings did. I mean, I'm sure it sounds ridiculous to me now, but it's true. So everything is a lot different. But uh, I think that going going to broadening your options is a good thing in general. That's about as wishy-washy of advice as I can give you. But so I guess we've somewhat gone through the COVID questions. I haven't really zeroed in on them, but what do you believe are your three unique things about you?
I always have trouble with these sorts of questions. This was also an interview question that came up for this one summer program that I'm doing during the interview process. They asked that, and I had trouble answering. So I'll try and not, I don't know, I'll try and be specific and positive. I would say that I'm definitely open to new experiences, whether it's traveling, for example, or just, um, you know, taking up new opportunities as they come. I think you can learn from a lot of things, and it's okay to, take something on, but maybe later on, not do it anymore. I think there's just a lot of value in trying new things and figuring out, what you enjoy, maybe what you don't enjoy. And through a lot of the opportunities that I've taken up, I've met a lot of really cool people that I've been able to bounce ideas off of and learn a lot from. So I definitely say being open to new experiences is something that maybe is unique about me, but definitely has benefited me so much. I'd also say that another thing that makes me unique is my meticulousness, I guess. I guess I'm pretty precise, or try to, you know, do everything to the best of my ability. I'm copy editor on the West Side Story. So No, we always have our editor in chief, but I do my best to make sure every single story is the best that it can be, doesn't have any grammar errors, punctuation errors, and whatnot. So being copy editor has also been really great too, in that I like working with people to make sure that everyone feels good about what they're writing, and that when I'm making my edits, I'm still maintaining their voice, their writing voice. And third one I'm stuck on. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at my violin right now and seeing if I can pull anything into that. Um, but I guess um maybe I like to collaborate with other people too. One thing that COVID has definitely changed for me is my ability to collaborate people with music. Solo stuff is fun. Learning new solo pieces is great and all, but I really like playing in an orchestra or playing in a small chamber group, just because I don't know. I think things sound better in a group, and then also the connections you form with people while playing are just amazing.
Do you have a violin hero? How do they say a guitar hero?
I do not. Is there a violin hero?
Well, I
Ever?
mean, I, I, I mean, I don't know. It, I'm thinking of all these Italian names that I don't even know if they play the violin, like Paganini or something, But I mean, I think, was it Isaac Stern or okay, well, uh, a lot. I mean, I back in the days when the CDs were first invented, I heard Yo-Yo Ma play the cello, and I thought, there's a good reason to buy a CD player, because the sound is so much better than the sound we had from cassette tapes and records. And but you know, but I mean, I'm not a real. I don't know a lot about classical music, as you can tell as I ramble on. But uh, it is. I do look at music a lot, and for performers who have influenced me and stuff like that. But I'm mostly in the folk music.
Cool. Okay.
That's about my speed, as they
I
say.
guess, yes. I will definitely ask you a bit about folk music next time. That sounds very cool. And Yo-Yo Ma is amazing. I love Yo-Yo Ma for cello. I know Itzhak Perlman. I really like Itzhak Perlman, and I also like Hilary Hahn. Itzhak Perlman and Yo-Yo Ma have played a few duets here and there, which I think is cool. But I know there are a lot of really cool performers that I like listening to.
I mean, I probably, this may be out, but we were both young, both Yo-Yo and myself were young people then. It's a kind of a different, your relationship is kind of different. You kind of think, well, maybe he'll be the big musician. I mean, guess he's had a wonderful career and everything. It's not like, it's sort of a different perspective of it. He was a fellow young person at that
Yeah.
time, and I related to him on that basis.
Yeah.
As well as
That is so
musician.
interesting, like growing up with him, I guess.
Yes, that's well put.
I I think it is so fantastic that we share a lot of interests, whether it's tennis or traveling or movies. I guess there is a lot to explore, a lot to talk about. I guess I'm really looking forward to that.